Hurricane Erin has successfully undergone its eyewall replacement cycle, also known as EWRC. And as you can tell, starting to see our eye get a bit more defined here. And we actually are going to see this continue as we move along. And I'm pulling up my pen on the other monitor. Give me a second, but I'm still going to be talking. And you can tell here, we've just seen pretty intensification here over the last couple of hours, and it was struggling a lot last night. So this is going to help it grow in size along with increase in strength. So today we're going to break down what you can expect here in the United States out of Hurricane Erin. Here's the cone of uncertainty from the NHC, and you can tell here this is actually getting it's getting decently close to the United States. And I need to put this on. Okay, so there we go. And this is actually getting decently close to the United States, as you can tell. It is about 50 to 100, I think it's between 50 to 100 miles off the coast, this latest one. You can tell it's a lot further east from Bermuda, or west from Bermuda. So we're definitely watching this. We do actually have tropical storm warnings in effect now for portions of the Bahamas. And we are definitely going to have to watch this closely. As you can tell here, we are expecting a major hurricane all the way through Wednesday. And this definitely could make a run for Category 5 intensity again. This is a chance of tropical storm force winds, and you can tell here in North Carolina, we are actually seeing a area where we could see some tropical storm force winds. And if we were to see tropical storm force winds, that means that we could see a tropical storm warning put in effect. So we could see minor landfalls still in portions of North Carolina. And you can tell here, once we get to 50 knot, it definitely dies down. And for hurricane force winds, it's about 75 to 150 miles offshore. But we haven't seen a bit of a westerly track here lately. So we're going to see if we could see a bit higher tropical storm force winds impact portions of North Carolina. And moving on to the GFS and what it is showing out of this system, Hurricane Erin, you can tell it's actually getting pretty close to the United States on the latest run. And this is where we are going to have to watch for those potential impacts of some tropical storm force winds. Not really much in the way of storm surge, but it's definitely going to be possible. And here's what the European model shows on this, and it is showing it getting pretty close to the United States too, in North Carolina, and maybe potentially even clipping parts of North Carolina there and making landfall. So we definitely need to keep an eye on this. And I'd like to apologize for the lack of uploads here. I just started high school, and it was pretty busy first couple of days. But you can expect to see uploads a lot more frequently now that I'm kind of getting into the groove of things. And here are the VEFS, and here are the spaghetti models and everything. And we can see here, these are a lot further west than when I made my last video. And they are definitely looking to get a lot closer until Bermuda, which whenever we had almost all of our spaghetti models going through Bermuda, about 50 to 100 miles west now, about 50 to 100 miles east of the United States. So things are definitely trending west here. And here you can tell a lot of models actually have this coming back into category 5 or high end category 4 intensity here. And some of them have them staying at around category 5 and 4 for a very long time before they finally drop about around Wednesday. They kind of just take a huge hit and fall off. So we are definitely going to have to watch this closely. And here are the landfall chances, and I have actually kept a very low chance of landfall along portions of the East Coast and Mid-Atlantic, because I do think there is a very low chance we see some tropical storm force impacts with a landfall. And here are the hurricane threats. I've shown you this. I just want to show you it again. Tornadoes can be strong. Winds can exceed 175 miles an hour. And we actually saw that yesterday whenever Erin became a Category 5 hurricane. And storm surge can be up to 20 feet sometimes. So we definitely need to be watching this closely. And tropics are about to wake up. That is for sure. In the hurricane action plan, we are kind of in that 5 to 7 days out still, nearing that 1 to 4. So we just need to monitor the forecast, tell family and friends, make sure they know what to do in case any real threat is going to be in play. Make sure to go over your plan and grab your essentials as we get closer if it is necessary. And confirm you have your reliable source. And just make sure to check back with your reliable source. Now, I actually wanted to go over this right here. And this is the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. You can tell we do have a little area that has a 10% chance of formation today. It is very, very unlikely this forms, but we're going to watch it as we may see a low and low pressure system develop and it may become a tropical depression, but very low chances there. And you can tell right behind Erin, we have another area of development that we are watching. This is a 30% chance of cyclone formation in the next 7 days. And this one has a lot higher chance of going into the Gulf or potentially heading towards Florida. If this were to take a track up towards areas like where Erin is going to be going through, it would not go off very well, and as the water temperatures across this area are going to take a lot of time to warm up, probably a good 2 to 3 weeks, we likely won't see anything major out of that. But we do have very favorable water temperatures as we get closer to the Gulf, and if that occurs, and like I said, there's a higher chance this impacts the Gulf, this system, and this likely will develop within the next 10 days. So we just need to watch this closely, and this definitely could be our next major hurricane. And here's the GFS on that system. The system's right here, but you notice behind it, we have another area. And like I said, tropics, yeah, they're about to heat up, and that is for sure. But moving forward, you can tell here, it's kind of off and on its low pressure system until it nears the Gulf, and it really starts to get its act together. Kind of clips Florida as probably a category 1 or 2 hurricane before dropping to probably around category 3 to 4 strength and hitting portions of Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and finally dying off. And the European model kind of shows the same thing. It kind of struggles to develop. Now, the Euro shows this taking a track similar to Erin. And if that were to occur, we would likely not see anything intense and nothing more than a Category 2 hurricane. Although I am more on board with the GFS's track, as I do think it is going to be pretty hard for a storm right after Erin comes through to be able to make that same exact track. So we'll definitely watch it, and it's not out of the question, but I just don't see that happening. And last thing today, I just want to go over severe weather. We do have a slight risk of severe weather today across portions in South Dakota and Nebraska, going to Minnesota and Iowa with 3 marginal risks. We have a marginal risk surrounding it from portions of Wyoming into Iowa, another marginal risk in portions of Idaho and Montana, another one extending from Maine back into portions of West Virginia. We have a 2% tornado risk today in portions of Iowa, Minnesota, and South Dakota, but I do not see that becoming any major threat. We do have a 15% wind and a 5% hail risk today. And moving on to tomorrow, we have a pretty large marginal risk from portions of North Dakota into portions of Nebraska, and then it extends all the way into portions of Wisconsin and Illinois towards Chicago. So definitely just got to watch it. No tornado risk, 5% wind and a 5% hail risk, and then finally, no severe risk on day 3. Here's what radar could look like today. We're going to see some storms go up here in Iowa across a large area extending from Iowa into Minnesota and South Dakota. And that's where we could see that isolated tornado threat occur, but nothing too crazy. And this is moving on to tomorrow and what we can expect. And honestly, we're going to see a few supercells pop up across portions of Colorado and Oklahoma. And I would not be surprised to see our marginal risk extended down across that area. but it is a very low chance, and severe storms just don't look to be able to be very widespread. We're going to see a bit of a messy, clustered complex push through portions of Nebraska and Kansas, but that is really where I see our only severe threat coming. Now, excessive rainfall is going to be a pretty big threat, as you can tell. Large area extending from portions of Maine all the way into portions of Idaho. We have a area of excessive rainfall, one back here in Florida, the other one extending into portions of Oklahoma and Arizona. So we definitely need to watch this. We do actually have a slight risk of excessive rainfall in play as well today. And tomorrow we do have a very scattered area with multiple areas of excessive rainfall being possible. If we go ahead and count them, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with a slight risk in portions of Chicago and surrounding areas. Before we end off this video, I just wanted to kind of show you guys like rain wise and what we can expect over the next month. Now take this with a grain of salt as these totals are not going to come true. But this kind of just shows you how this system may track that as a 30% chance of developing back in the Gulf. You can tell here, you can see it kind of went through Florida, then kind of went up through the Gulf and went up through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and dumped a ton of rain across that area. So we're definitely going to have to watch this. You can see Hurricane Erin dumps a ton of rain. But you can tell widespread rain for the United States, and it is a long time since some of these areas, like Oklahoma, has seen rain. So this is definitely going to be a relief, but there is a point where this does get to too much, and it may start to near that here soon. And last thing before we end off this video, I just wanted to thank you guys for 1,073 subscribers. I haven't shown you guys this recently, but it just means the world that I've even got this far. And I'm hoping that we can even hit 2K by the end of this year. So if you guys could do me a favor and drop a like and subscribe if you are new, it would mean the world to me. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye.